French Foreign Minister Alain Juppe offered Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a proposal on Thursday aimed at breaking the Israeli-Palestinian deadlock before the expected showdown at the UN General Assembly in September. In a first for the wider international community, the French initiative incorporates the position that the goal of negotiations is 2 states for 2 peoples, and not just a 2-state solution. The French proposal would revive the talks based on the following principles. The border issue would be discussed based on the 1967 borders with agreed land swaps, in keeping with U.S. President Barack Obama's speech. Security arrangements for both sides, Israel and the Palestinian state, would be negotiated. The negotiations would begin with a discussion on borders and security arrangements, while talks on the refugees and Jerusalem would be put off to a later date. The document states explicitly that the negotiations goal is 2 states for 2 peoples, not just a 2-state solution, as the international community and Palestinians have put it. This approach is significantly closer to Netanyahu's demand that the Palestinians recognize Israel as the nation-state of the Jewish people. Contrary to the international community's former position, the proposal does not stipulate that Jerusalem would be the capital of both states, but only that the Jerusalem issue would be solved via negotiations. The French document was given to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas on Wednesday during his meeting with Juppe in Rome, where President Shimon Peres met with Abbas on Thursday. Juppe made it clear to Netanyahu and Abbas that he wanted their comments on the proposal within the next few days. Juppe said that if both sides responded favorably, France would be willing to convene a peace conference in Paris next month to resume the direct talks between Israel and the Palestinian Authority, a French diplomat said. Both Netanyahu and Abbas said they would reply to the proposal within a few days. A senior Israeli official confirmed that Netanyahu had received the document and was examining it. The real significance for this report is that a European Union nation is presenting a peace proposal. The Bible says that the Antichrist will rise up out of one of the nations from the old Roman Empire to confirm a peace accord with Israel and many. Could this be the beginning stages of this future agreement? U.S. President Barack Obama's former chief of staff and current mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, attempted to assuage Israeli fears that the U.S. administration expects Israel to return to 1967 borders, clarifying that this was never Obama's policy in an opt-in for the Washington Post on Friday. Emanuel was referring to a sentence in Obama's Middle East policy speech last month, in which Obama said that the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps, so that secure and recognized borders are established for both states. Emanuel added that 1967 borders are the starting point and not the end point for negotiations. That statement does not mean a return to 1967 borders, Emanuel said, adding that no workable solution envisions that. Land swaps over the flexibility necessary to ensure secure and defensible borders and address the issue of settlements. I would speculate the eventual permanent borders for the future Palestinian state will likely be adjusted to meet the security concerns of Israel. I look for Jerusalem to be internationalized sometime in the future, but I question whether it will ever be divided until it's temporarily overthrown during the tribulation period. In other news, the Wisconsin Project on Nuclear Arms Control, America's scientific watchdog on world nuclear weapons production, estimates that by December 2008, Iran had accumulated enough U-235 to fuel 1 nuclear bomb. By 2009, enough for a second. By August of 2010, material for a 3rd bomb. And by April of 2011, enough enriched uranium for a 4th bomb. These estimates presuppose an Iranian decision to further process low-enriched material to weapons grade, a process taking no more than a couple of months. Iran says the Wisconsin project is consolidating its status as a virtual nuclear weapon state, meaning it can set about building a bomb whenever its rulers so decide. Iran has decided to stockpile nuclear weapons material in an unassembled state that can be readily assembled in a moment's notice in order to conceal their nuclear weapons program. Although Israel's attempt to sabotage their program through the Stuxnet worm did slow their progress for almost a year, the Wisconsin project reports that it has accumulated enough material for building 4 nuclear bombs. Israel is now in the position that they will either need to attack Iran and destroy their nuclear program, or live with a nuclear-armed Iran. Most Israeli military experts believe an Iran with only a few nuclear weapons is still not an existential threat to Israel, but the speed at which Iran has accumulated material for 4 bombs has raised an alarm that they could amass many more in the not-so-distant future. I have to believe Israel will have to confront Iran sooner than later, or face an Iranian nuclear powerhouse that is determined to destroy them. The only question is whether it will come before the prophesied battle of Gog and Magog, described in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Some believe such an Israeli attack will prompt a war described in Psalm 83, where Israel's surrounding neighbors join forces and simultaneously attack them. This is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.